Hello everyone, or anyone. Today's we're going to be starting to teach Reiki. And at the same time, I have a co-teacher. She's also our camera person. And along with her, we have Lisa.
Hello!
And so welcome to the first Reiki session. We're going to have about 10. And I just want you to relax. Hopefully you'll have a notebook and a pen and so that you can follow along. And this is the book that I am suggesting that one purchase. And this is from Shen Clark Thomas, Reiki Warrior. And Reiki Warrior is a martial art that Shen Clark Thomas created. 84 pages of instruction on meditation, Qi cultivation, Reiki healing, and the 18 Reiki projection drills. So this book I have found to be very knowledgeable. So it's to be read for information. So I would really highly suggest, if you're taking this class with me, that this is the book that you get. And the Reiki that we are learning is called Usui, U-S-U-I, Usui Reiki. Now, first of all, what do we know about Reiki? How to spell it, huh? Okay, R-E-I-K-I. Reiki. Ray is the radiant cosmic energy of the sun. Okay, because most people, when you're doing Reiki, which is an energy healing, energy transference, is going to come from the palm. Okay, so we think of it as the sun, and that your hands, once you are attuned, your hands are going to get warm, and it will radiate from your hands. Sometimes it will radiate also from your fingers. Okay, this is considered Japanese. This, when you get it from the fingers also, that's considered Tibetan. So Reiki. I use Reiki as a mantra to draw the energy to me. Okay, what has this always been? It's been Christ consciousness energy. And the Egyptians would think of it as Ra, the sun god. Bioplasmic energy, the fifth element. So it's always actually been here on the planet. And we are just, no matter what you call it, we are just calling it forth, and we're choosing to call it Reiki. Ray, the radiant cosmic energy of the sun. Ki, K-I, is ki, like chi, energy, force, or I tend to think of it as key to the ignition, turning on the energy. Okay, so or a light switch that you're just turning on the light. Okay, radiant cosmic energy of the sun. Now there are various masters, teachers who will teach hands-on on just the different acupressure points to just go down into the being's body and energy and sending Reiki that way. I choose not to teach it that way. Yet there are a number of books on pages and papers that one can find to show that. But what I did when I went researching is I found some later texts that were revealed that said when Dr. Usui in Japan, he decided that actually A higher form of Reiki was if you did it through thinking, thought process, scanning, which so that you can feel the energy of the being that is being worked upon. So you can feel the energy.
Speaking of chi.
Speaking of
Here's
chi, here's
chi.
chi.
That's the assistant teacher.
My little chister.
He's like, wait, Mom's doing Reiki.
Yeah, she's
Mom's
doing Reiki. Let's get up there. So, and what I learned with that is that one can work as far out as you need to. You do not have to go into the other person's energy field. You do not have to serendipitously, accidentally, whatever, take on their energy. You know, I have had serious cancer patients where I actually had to step almost out of the room in order to work on them because they had so much energy coming off their being that was negative. You know, and it was just about helping to calm things down, have their energy closer to their being, and helping them de-stress. You know, and it is not the practitioner, me, the teacher. It's not us that are doing this energy. It is actually Creator that's doing this energy. And we are just serving as channels for that energy to come through us, just like when you're doing prayer, you know, and you're asking for that. Thy will be my will, and it's the prayer energy and everything is just coming through you and you're being a channel. So that is what we're doing. Oftentimes you will notice when you're doing it that your hands tend to warm up, especially after you have received what is called an attunement. An attunement is a little ritual. And once you have been attuned to a symbol, whether you use Reiki immediately or not for 20 years or more, you will always have it. And it just turns out that the more that you do it, the more that you practice it and share it with others, whether you are doing it on a partner who's crawled into bed and has a backache or a headache or whatever, and they've given you permission, and that is very important. First of all, we have to have permission from the one who is being worked on. Are you willing to receive this energy? And once the person has said yes, and that's something that they truly mean, then you've been given permission to do Reiki upon them. Reiki is only for the highest and best. It's not magic. It's not a religion. It is a healing technique. So, the very first thing that and there is no symbol attached to it, is the mere fact of the word Reiki. Rei. How to spell it? R-E-I-K-I. Rei. R-E-I. Rei, the radiant cosmic energy of the sun. Ki, the keys to universal life energy. Okay? The keys to universal life energy. So, as I said, I use it as a mantra to call the energy to me. So I will just do Reiki, 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 until I feel comfortable that I have called the energy forth and it is with me. All right? Then, as I said, make certain that you ask permission. Okay, are you willing to receive this energy? And receiving a positive affirmative answer. All right. Then I always make sure that my hands are sanitary. Also, if you happen to smoke cigarettes, please take care of your breath. Take care of your hands. Make sure that your hands smell nice, because when the person is being worked upon, their olfactory senses are heightened, okay? And they can smell negative smells. Next, I would suggest having the person to be worked on loosen their clothing, take off their shoes. If they have jewelry on, perhaps take off jewelry, anything metal, and put it in a safe place. And then laying down, and I used to always use a massage table, all right? But Reiki can be done on a chair. It can be done on a couch. It can be done on the floor. It can be done just about anywhere. So it could be done on the floor and the mattress, but also at the same time, as the practitioner, you want to make certain that you are comfortable, okay? Because you won't want to work on someone if you are not in a comfortable standing position or sitting, all right? I oftentimes have my students do sitting and work on me while I'm on my day bed. Right? And I would start at the crown chakra above. Okay? I would start with my hands there and go out from the crown chakra as far as you need to tell how far is the energy that you're feeling. Would you do that with Lisa?
Yeah.
Okay, would you just... So be sure and ask her, are you willing?
Are you willing to receive Reiki from me? Yes. Excellent.
Okay, all right.
So now I'm just hovering my hands above her.
Correct.
And I've just found a place that my hands want to be.
Okay.
Sometimes if I'm feeling for it, I'll just go, I don't know why, but I really feel, but it feels like, the way I describe it is it feels like, two magnets.
Uh-huh.
And when you have whatever the side of the magnets are where they push away from each other,
right,
there's a certain point where you feel like you're right on the edge, where you still feel the force pushing away.
Yes.
And you just hang out there. You're not trying to push into the energy and force your hands in.
Right.
You're just hovering right where that edge is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so just for the moment, just work with Reiki. And this can be done silently, or you can speak it. It's your choice. Whatever feels comfortable for you.
Lilli, do you ask your clients to say Reiki to themselves as well? Will you ever have them joining you in the mantra?
Sometimes not. It to me it doesn't really matter. But if they want to, if that feels good, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
So I would offer to Lisa,
Uh-huh.
since she's learning Reiki right now, and that as I'm working on you, I'm sending the Reiki intention.
Good.
I'm tuning myself into Reiki,
Okay.
and I'd also ask her to be meditating on that.
All right.
And to just allow any feelings or images to come. If they do, they may not. But just beginning to say that mantra to herself,
Yes.
as I'm saying that on her behalf as well.
That's good. Okay.
Cool.
Okay, so Reiki. Ray, the radiant cosmic energy of the sun. Ki, the keys to universal life energy. And as I said, that's a wonderful mantra to call it to you, call the energy to you. So, when you have finished working with the person, Lisa, okay, then please, what I suggest, take her aura and feather it all down in one direction. So, when you are closing a session, what you do is start from the crown and feather her on down, all the way down to the floor, the ground, and anchor it to the ground. This is for grounding her, so she doesn't go out of here flustered.
Do you ever hold your clients' feet or press their feet into the ground or something to help anchor them in that way?
If I feel so inclined, I would.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but this is a lot about going on what you're sensing, you're feeling, you know, right? Well, good. Okay.
And I think also you were the one who taught me too. You know, sometimes if you go into stores, new age stores or things, they'll actually have feather wands.
Uh-huh.
So I had bought one of those, and I will use that.
Right.
And kind of get the air currents going, and then that kind of helps.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I used to have 2 really beautiful feather fans, just beautiful, that had been made for me. One was a green one that was kind of peacock looking, and one was purple, and it was just gorgeous. But I lost them in the fire.
Oh.
You know, so such is life. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I use my hands, you know, unless I ever get something like those feather fans back again. You know, yes. Then the other thing, I have teacher, student, practitioner, and student or recipient look at each other and fold your hands. Okay.
So
right.
interlacing fingers.
You can do interlacing. You can do like in prayer position. Okay, and look at each other and just say the term namaste to each other. Do you know what namaste means? It's like the divine spark in me sees and honors the divine spark in thee. So we're seeing the high and best in each other. Okay? And that is the way that you conclude a Reiki session. So hopefully you will now, this is just the very beginnings, okay? Now, the first symbol, and we will draw that out for you in a little while. The first symbol is called Say, Hey, Ki, One. And what that means, translates into, is opens and balances on all levels. Mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. Say, Hey, Ki, One. SEI, HEI, KI. Then the number 1. And I usually circle that. Say, and then if you want to put the phonetic spelling, it's say is S-A-Y, hey, H-A-Y, ki, K-E-Y. Say, hey, ki, 1. Opens and balances on all levels. Mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. And what we are wanting to do is restore balance to all 4 body levels. It does not serve merely to heal the physical if we do not do the spiritual, the mental, and the emotional. All 4 body levels, or it will manifest in some other manner. Okay? We are working on Seihei-ki so that Lisa can be attuned to Seihei-ki the next time.
Mm-hmm.
So in the interim, she is going to practice doing Seihei-ki and calling Reiki to her. And she will practice doing it on herself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? After this next session, she'll be able to do it on the kids. So it's like, and it's something that Lisa is a teacher. And it's something that you'll be able to do on students if you wish. Or children at home, etc. Hubby.
Pets,
absolutely.
Animals love it.
Yes.
It is nuts that they really do feel it. Yeah.
Yes, it's so true. We will write this out. And this is something, is the video on?
Yeah.
Okay. This is something to practice until we see each other again. Now, the way it looks is, first one is 1 and it's a line down. The second one is 2 and it's a line over. The third movement is a line down and it's a 3. Okay? Then we have the moon, which is 4. And so that's the fourth movement. Then the fifth movement is right beside that figure, and it is another moon. So that is 5. Okay, then bloop, bloop, bloop. Teddy bear ear. Okay, 6. And then this is 7. The second teddy bear ear. Bloop, bloop, bloop. 7. So, the first symbol that we have figures with is called Say Hey Key 1. All right? And it has 7 movements to it. Okay? All right. And you don't have to say it out loud. You don't have to draw it out physically unless you want. We're not trying to make spectacles of ourselves, okay? We're trying to be quiet. So you can do it mentally, you know, as long as you know that this is what you're doing. Say hey key 1. Say hey key 1. What does it mean? Opens and balances on all levels. Mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. And I want you to memorize it just the way that I put it out there. What I discovered after 30 some years of teaching, I discovered that my students, unless I gave them exact wording, they tended to forget what the meaning was. So it's like, okay, this is for balance. This is a big one for balance. Restoring the balance, the time is now. So opens and balances on all levels, mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. All right. So what I want you to do for practice, Lisa, is draw this out sometimes, then begin to draw it out in your mind's eye. Okay? And then remember the numbering and remember what it stands for. Okay? And then when you come back, I want you to be able to show us that you know this. You're a teacher. You can do this easily. This is not difficult. If you teach kindergartners, you can do this. Okay. Oh my goodness. So, is there anything else you can think of, Stacey, that we might need to, give a new inductee?
I think I'll say a little bit about my experience with the 2 things that you've presented.
Okay.
And then see if Lisa has questions about anything that you've heard.
All right.
You're kind of our surrogate viewer who, you're asking on behalf of. So I guess one question that I have is, so the first step is doing it on yourself, is doing the Reiki on yourself.
Right.
So would you just have someone maybe put their hands on the crown of their head and meditate on Reiki and then feather downwards after, or what? How would you generally?
If they want. Another thing about Reiki is you don't have to put your hands anywhere, You don't have to put them on any particular spots. You can just be sitting there or laying there and just thinking it and sending it to that particular spot. So you don't have, there is no way that you're going to be doing this incorrectly if your intention is a good intention. Okay?
Yeah.
And since Creator already knows what your intention is and it's coming from a good place, there is no way you can do it incorrectly. And as I said previously, you're not doing it. And it's so important for one to get that. You're not doing it.
And even if you're doing it with a bad intention, the Reiki's like, I'm not
buying it.
You'll be like, here, I'm cursing you with Reiki. And the Reiki would go,
no, that doesn't work that way. No, No, Reiki is only positive, uplifting. It's only coming from a space of love. And this particular symbol is coming from a space of balance, balance, balance. Balancing all 4 body levels. All right?
So I guess, some people that watch I've certainly encountered Reiki masters who use the symbols slightly differently or draw them slightly differently.
Right.
And I think you taught me it's a bit like, you go to school and you learn how to write the alphabet.
Right.
But then eventually you have your own handwriting in a way.
Yes.
But like you said, if you are tuning into the intention of that symbol, you're solid.
Yes.
You're not going to mess it up.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because as I keep saying, and you'll hear me repeat this over and over and over, because I have to kick the ego into a place where it's manageable. Okay?
Yep.
So it's not you who's doing it. Even there's such an arrogance as I know it all. Yeah, there's that. But there's also the arrogance of the little boy or the little girl rubbing their toe in the dirt going, oh golly gee whiz, I don't know if I can do this. That's an arrogance too, especially when you're not doing it. Spirit, Creator, God, Goddess is doing it. You are not. So get yourself out of the way. All right? And when people compliment you and tell you how great you are and how wonderful that felt, it's like, well, thank you very much, But it came from a higher place. It's not, I've just signed up to be the handmaiden, or the servant, or whatever. I've signed up to, I've been the person who's willing to say, yes, I will do the work.
So I think I'll say one more thing that I think was really helpful for me to hear at the very beginning, and it was something that you would tell me is just like you're a lifelong questioner.
Right.
So it's okay to be completely skeptical. Yes. And it's okay to always question it and say, I don't know what I think about this whole Reiki. What is all this bit of nonsense?
Yes.
And the thing is to just go with it, try it out,
right?
Experiment with it, but really give it 100%, experiment with it and see what happens. And so for me, for 25 years,
yes,
almost every single time I go to do Reiki, there's the little thought in my head of, really, what is this is just, and then something kicks over and drawing out those symbols and saying those mantras.
Yes.
With that intention of, oh wow, I feel out of balance or something's out of balance here. I'm going to do some Seihei 1.
Right.
And something shifts and it's processed and cleaned out so quick where it might be something that would normally fester for days or become a real thing that's just in the back of my mind. It's kind of aligned and done and released, ready to go on and really be present for the beauty of life. See the beauty of life again. That's consistently what I feel.
Yes. And the reason we're putting these videos out there is so that other people, I have always told you, I think everybody on the planet could use this energy for restoring balance. So each one of the symbols has its own particular job. Okay? And then something else is, this is my creation. After having studied with 3 or 4 different Reiki masters in Paris, in Colorado Springs, in Taos, New Mexico, etc., etc., after having I kind of put together my own version because I saw that people were not getting it. When I started learning was at a time when you did not write down the symbols. You didn't do any of the writing. Well, what I got is my students couldn't and wouldn't remember. So I put this together. I counted all the movements, I drew it out, I wrote down what the translation was from the Japanese, not the Tibetan, but the Japanese, okay? and did the best that I could and just kept studying and studying, and now I've been teaching well over 30 years. But that is this is, Yusui Reiki via Lilli. Yet I think that it gives my students all of the factors that I gleaned from the various Reiki masters I studied with, so that everybody could walk away from me and look in their notebooks and still remember how to do it and not feel lost. It's really interesting that I have created lovingly a number of Reiki masters. Okay.
Lisa, do you have any questions? Are there things that you are confused about or more that you want to know about?
For this first one, it's to open, so now you're open for the next ones, is balancing all your 4 levels so you're ready for so it's kind of preparing you for the next things that are going to be happening.
Well, it also, yes, it opens you up and it helps you to balance on all 4 body levels. So it just makes things in your life more balanced. It helps you to be open. What does being open means? Non-judgmental, right? To just have that open mind. Even when some things sound crazy, you're willing to listen. It doesn't mean you believe it or will do it, but you're open.
And so this could be the entirety of the Reiki you do on yourself for the day is just the one. It doesn't have to be the introduction and then you need to do the other ones in sequence?
No.
Okay.
No.
That's what
You
I was
don't
kinda-
have to do things in sequence.
Okay.
When I'm taking people through, and I've regularly had whole groups of people that I've had them working on each other, and I will be the mantra, the group leader, doing the meditation, pulling out the symbols and having my students do that on each other, because it's wonderful to help you to balance on all levels. It's wonderful to be connected with the mind of the divine and wanting to do thy will, not my will. Okay?
Yeah, so each one is standalone.
Correct.
Each one has its own powerful medicine.
Correct.
And whether you're doing Reiki on yourself or Reiki on someone else,
Yes.
you just trust. For some reason, I'm feeling Seihei Ki 1 right now. We're going to do some Seihei Ki 1, and that might be the entire session.
It might be.
You're really just feeling there's something about opening and balancing on all levels.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, and I hope you will join us again for the next Reiki class.